It's ad break time. I'm proud to announce that the Beyond Solitaire podcast is sponsored by Central Michigan University's Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations. I'm personally very excited because CLGS has a springtime crowdfunding project on the way. They'll be publishing a revised edition of Jason Morningstar's The Blue Way, a role-playing game about the stories of cultures being assimilated into a larger empire. You'll be hearing more about that soon on this very podcast. For now, though, let's get on with the show. Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and this week on the pod, I'm super happy to have special guest Pam Walls. She is an independent board game designer and YouTuber, so you can also check out her stuff online. I'm sure we'll talk about it a bunch. How you doing today, Pam?
I'm good. How are you, Liz? So nice to meet you.
Oh, it's nice to meet you too. I'm really excited to talk to you. I've definitely seen your channel pop up on and off over the years. Like I've looked at it a lot more since I started designing games myself. Um,
Oh, that's so cool.
and I'm super pumped to see like more about how you make it work. So for people who don't know you, what kinds of games have you already published? Like, what are you working on right now?
Yeah, so I have been making games for a very, very long time, but I got serious about wanting to get a game published about 12 years ago. And now I have, I believe it's 7 published games. So I have a few party games published, Hold That Face with Hasbro, Act Fast with Outset Media, Blob Party with WizKids, and a follow up to that, which was cool to get a follow up to one of my games. And then a strategy game, a co op strategy game called Chronicles of Light with Ravensburger. And then I was commissioned to make a board game for the company Bush's Beans. So I made a dice rolling game for them, which was a cool experience. And then I have another game coming out this summer that hopefully will be announced soon.
Oh, that's awesome. So well, you got commissioned to make a beans board game.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah. So random. So random. Yeah. I had quit my day job a few months earlier, and I
Yeah.
was like, probably gonna have to get another day job. And then I got an email from this PR company in the States, and they're like, we have a client who wants a board game made. Would you be interested? I'm like, sure. Yeah. And then they let me know that it was Bush's Beans. I was like, okay. So then I brainstormed 10 different ideas for them about a game about making chili. They wanted to call it Chop Drop Chili. So that was the prompts. And then a few other things that they wanted the game to have, family friendly, could be played in under 30 minutes while your chili is cooking on the stove kind of idea. And then they picked the dice chucking game as their favorite, and that's what they went with. And yeah, you can buy it on the Bush's Beans website.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, this actually leads me to a first question. So all of the game designs that I have made and sold were just things that I felt like I wanted to do, and then I found a publisher who was willing
Mm,
to take it. So like David and I wanted to make a game about the Night Witches. We made a game of the Night Witches, and then we started shopping it around. But this is a commissioned game.
right.
How much of your work is commissioned, and how does that work? I've never had a game commissioned
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, it was my first time as well, so it was all new to me. I have a Facebook group called Board Game Besties. I reached out on there to be like, has anyone else done a commission game before? I have no idea what to charge. I have no idea what to expect and everything like that. And they basically said, whatever you're thinking about charging, times it by 3, basically. So like these companies actually usually have a pretty healthy budget, which as indie game designers are not used to. So that was different. And then yeah, just them giving you some parameters about what they're looking for in the game and then brainstorming different ideas, presenting it to them. I made like a PowerPoint about one slide per game. Here's what it would look like. They picked 3. I made digital prototypes in Tabletopia, played them with them. Then they picked their favorite. I made a physical prototype, continued playtesting, and then that's what they went with. And they dealt with the manufacturing and the marketing and all that stuff. So I just did my role as usual, which is coming up with the rules of the game. And then, so in general, I just design games same as you or that I like, and then I pitch them to publishers to find them a home. But with Chronicles of Light, that was an interesting situation where Ravensburger put out a call for concepts. And they said it has to be co-op, has to involve these Disney characters, it has to be ages 8 plus and whatever. And then I came up with an idea. I play tested it a couple times. I sent it in, and then they chose my idea as the one they wanted to move forward with, which was crazy. And so then I worked on the game alongside Ravensburger and Shannon Lyon, a developer there, worked with them to finish the game and to work on it with them, which was a very different experience than what I'm used to, where I make a complete game and then I pitch it to the publisher. So that was kind of like a commission game in a sense. So it was interesting, but I think I definitely prefer coming up with my own idea and then pitching around to publishers.
Nice. Yeah, it makes sense. So the other thing I was wondering looking at your catalog is that okay, I love party games. I have no clue how to design a good party game. So it seems like you are a pro at this. What makes a party game special and like just a little bit more than like a group activity?
Yeah, I really enjoy playing and designing party games. And one thing that just that spark of like learning about yourself or learning about the people at the table, and especially having moments where everyone's laughing together, it just can create so many fun memories that you can have in party games. It's getting really tough in the party game space with so many party games out there to really stand out and to do something unique that hasn't been done before. But even still, games that are very simple, which is really tough to do. Like some people think that making a party game is easy. It is not. You really have to streamline everything down to the core mechanics. And that can be really tough. There's nothing to hide behind in a party game. Everything is out there. So yeah, it can be really tough, but it can spark so much joy if you have a game that really creates those fun moments. And so trying to come up with a game that is different is really tough, but even still, like games like Poetry for Neanderthals, it's a very simple concept where you can only speak in one syllable words. And that's a very recent game that came out. So there's still fresh new ideas with very simple, straightforward mechanics where it's something where I think like, how did I not think of that myself? So they're still coming out, but it's getting harder and harder. That's for sure.
Interesting. And then you're an independent game designer, and that means that you do not work in a studio. Um, if I recall from your channel, you're often traveling for large parts of the year. How do you test games with large player counts?
Um, yeah, it can be tough. It's really great, with the online opportunities to play test online. That definitely helps. I'll rope in my friends on a Zoom call, have a bunch of people there, or if I'm having a party, you can bet I'm probably going to be play testing a game while everyone's over. But while you're traveling, and I actually wrote about this in my newsletter this week about even when I'm traveling, I can usually find a gaming group anywhere in the world, which is so cool. And even a playtesting group anywhere in the world. I met up with designers in Vietnam last year, which was super cool. And I've met up with playtesting groups in New York and Los Angeles, and I'm in Calgary right now, and I've linked up with the design community here. I have a design community in Vancouver, design community in Toronto. So it's really fantastic the online opportunities that you have to connect with the design community and gamers. But as far as testing large groups in particular, it can be tough. And that's a logistical thing you have to deal with as a party game designer. And that's one reason that I'm actually designing a solo game because it's a lot easier when you just need one person, which is me. So I can grind through playtests over and over and over. It's so much easier than trying to get a whole group together, which, yeah, a lot of party games, you really want them to be playable at high player counts, is one of the
Yeah,
big benefits of party games, but it can be a logistical challenge for sure.
that's crazy. Before we turn around to, I have so many questions. So the other thing I've noticed from your catalog is you've also designed some games that are for people with like very wide range of ages. So, how do you test games for potentially younger audiences like 8 without access to studio resources?
Again, it's tough, but that was a great thing working alongside Ravensburger. They had access to a large playtesting community, and so I went down to Seattle quite a few times and met with and oversaw playtests there, where they had families and kids, so they could test that age range. So yeah, that can be tough. But going to like prototype conventions and things like that, and you can access designers who have kids and ask them to play it if they can. I have a young nephew who will become one of my playtesters very soon. But it can be really tough, so that's why I don't design kids games. But this game for Ravensburger, that was one of their parameters, had to be 8 plus. It's not a kids game, but it does have to be played 8 plus. So that was actually
Yeah.
really tough to make it playable for 8-year-olds, but also the parents who are probably playing with them, So that was a tough design challenge. But yeah, designing for kids without being a teacher or a parent or having access to that community, that can be a challenge for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of community, I feel like you've done such a good job making your own digital community to work on board games. You've got a channel, but there's like a community associated with your channel. I see you're wearing merch associated with your channel. It looks great.
Always.
Um, gotta represent. But
Yeah.
what made you decide? I think you told me earlier in the conversation that you've been designing for like 12 years, and I just immediately checked your YouTube channel for your oldest video, and it's the oldest video is 9 years old, and most are the last few years. So, what I guess drove you to start documenting your design life online, and how has that developed for you?
Yeah, so I started my YouTube channel like in earnest 4 years ago, almost exactly 4 years ago, and it was really to document my journey and to share the ups and downs of being a board game designer. It also was to possibly generate another income stream as an independent board game designer. We have to diversify. So I saw that as possibly a thing that could happen. It definitely took a long time to make any money at all, but now it is a modest, but it is an income stream for me. And so yeah, I just made the decision to I really wanted to take my board game design even more seriously. I wanted to share the ups and downs. I wanted to also share all of the lessons and knowledge that I had learned from some of my mentors that I wanted to pass on to other designers, where it's like I kind of wanted to make the channel that I wish I had when I was getting serious, and was looking for resources, and I was looking to learn as much as possible. So kind of wanted to make a place that new designers could go to kind of see what this whole board game design thing is all about.
Nice. And I guess how does your how does your channel affect your, I guess, your design decisions? Like, do you care about what you work on in terms of showing it? I always wonder on my own channel, right? Like, am I playing because I want to show it on the channel, or am I just playing it and I show it on the channel as like showing what I'm doing? How does your online life, I guess, inform or dialogue with your design life?
It's I think part of it is that it's really expanded the my knowledge of games. I streamed quite a bit where I was playing games online, and people would tune in. So I actually made a list of all of the solo games that I played. It's actually way more than I realized that I played just from streaming. And so I really expanded my encyclopedia of board games in that way, just by streaming games like that, which was really cool. And then recently, I just started a designer POV series where I'm actually showing the progress of a game as I'm designing it, which was something that some people had asked me to do on the channel. And I was hesitant because I'm like, I don't know if I want to publicly share something that I'm working on that I haven't pitched yet. Will publishers be turned off that I have been sharing this publicly before pitching it? I don't know. I just decided to go for it. And it's actually been great because I've been getting a lot of helpful feedback on the
Yeah.
design, and people have been suggesting different games that I play that could, give some inspiration for different things. And it's actually been really great. I feel like I've expanded my group of collaborators. Like I see my playtesters as my collaborators. I don't do co-designs, but I do rely on my playtesters a lot as my collaborators. And now I feel like I have even more through the viewers in these designer POV videos.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so you keep mentioning solo games. It's like catnip to me, but I'm gonna circle back to it, and we won't get off it. So,
because I have questions for you too.
but you also mentioned, that you gave up a full time job to go full time as an independent board game designer. I think that that's the dream for everybody. I basically just got a job at a company that was being a game designer, and I'm so
Yes.
grateful for that. But the thought of being able to just totally fly free, do it on your own, make it work, it sounds amazing. And I'm just very curious. I know you got some videos about it, but at what point did you think that that was possible? And like,
Yeah.
how did you decide to make the leap and then handle it afterwards?
Yeah. I had saved up 6 months of expenses, and I have been investing for many years. When I had an office job back in the day, I was very conscious about investing as much as possible. I felt like that was going well enough that, and with my, savings that I had built up, and just with a few more games already out, and I was starting to get consistent royalty checks from those, not big ones by any means, but at least something was coming in every quarter. I just decided to take the leap. I decided to quit my job almost 3 years ago, April 2023, and I just decided just to give it a go for a few months. And I thought I would have to get another day job in a few months, but that's when I got the email from Bush's Beans out of nowhere. And then yeah, and then eventually my game with Ravensburger came out, and that was a huge help. And then I signed some other games, so I had some advances coming in. So it was like kind of like every month I'm like, I probably have to get another day job. Oh, something came in. Oh, I probably have to get another day job. Something came in. So it's kind of been like that's up and down for the past 3 years. So I'm kind of thinking right now I probably need to get another day job, but who knows? Something might come in next week. So I'm just kind of taking it month by month. I still have some savings in there, so it's not a dire situation. But yeah, I just decided to go for it and to try and to really give 100% to my game design, and to really free up that space, free up that time that day jobs take up, and just decided to give it a go. And so somehow it's been 3 years. I mean, a big thing that helped was that I sublet my apartment for 6 months the past 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that this year, so I'm feeling the pressure a lot more. So we'll have to see how much longer I can go for. But it is really nice to be able to work on whatever projects that I want to, but then, you have to decide if that's worth the instability.
Yeah. So you talk about, getting kind of like, well, I'm gonna have to get a job. Something comes in. What kind of pipeline in terms of like number of designs that are in progress have you established? And what would be your ideal?
Yeah, like as far as games that are generating royalties.
Yeah, like I mean, how many games do you have that are in the design process at various stages?
Oh,
And do
I
you work
see.
on one thing at a time? You have
Right.
multiple things that are on publisher desk right now, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm always working on at least 2 games at a time, but I'm probably thinking about 4 or 5. But, it's I don't want to spread myself too thin, and so I usually am working on a strategy game and a party game. I just feel like that's a nice balance to work on one, take a break from that part of my brain, then go back to the other. So yeah, I'm working on well, it's not really a party game, but it's an escape room advent calendar puzzle book,
Oh, cool.
and alongside my solo strategy game that I'm working on. And so yeah, and I'm also actively pitching a game, well, passively pitching a game that I've been pitching for over a year now, trying to find a home for that one, or possibly might archive it. So I usually have 2 or 3 games, well, 2 or 3 games that I'm working on, and then some that are done that I'm pitching around.
Nice. So, you mentioned that you were surprised by how many solo games that you had been streaming and playing at the time you decided to make a solo game. Um, but you're a party game person. I love this, by the way. This is good. I think we all contain multitudes, right?
Right.
But what solo games would you say were the ones that kind of made you realize, oh, I like this?
Yeah. I just to speak about that and just the variety of games that I design, one of the designers I really look up to is Phil Walker Harding, and I see his catalog of games. It ranges party games to strategy games and everything in between, and that's the kind of designer that I want to be, where I'm always, designing outside my comfort zone, trying different genres and expanding, the types of games that I work on. Um, but as far as games, yeah, I think Stardew Valley comes to mind, because that's actually one of the first games that I played physically solo. Like, I had brought the game out, put it on the table, played by myself. It felt a little weird because I was like, I know I should have other people playing this with me. There's just like a mental hurdle.
Yeah.
And so once I got over that and I quieted those voices, it was super fun. And I got really into it. I played the Stardew Valley soundtrack while I was playing. And I was like, okay, we do this, 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 and that. And yeah, just seeing like all the strategies that you can have on your own playing this really fun game. So yeah, and then I was like really looking forward to playing it solo again. So that's probably one that sounds as one of the earliest solo games that I played that had a bit of an impact on me for sure.
That's funny. I tell my solo origin story so much that I think it's boring, but something you said made me think about it again because I was like a Magic the Gathering junkie who realized that it was not something I wanted to keep doing because it was too expensive and like cracking a pack. So I got the Lord of the Rings living card game because I wanted to
Mm,
do deck construction. And then I became a solo gamer because I couldn't find anybody to play with me regularly. So I realized I could play it myself. But talking about like that kind of awkwardness of sitting there playing by yourself the first
right,
time, I
right.
think I never noticed it because deck construction is something that you do by yourself.
Ah, so you're already used to that.
I was already like, "Well, I've gone this far on my own." So
Right, right, right. That's good. That's a good stepping stone.
Yeah, although I've always been willing to go to a restaurant by myself or a movie by myself. I, uh I traveled in Europe when I was younger in college, and everybody was like I was in Germany, and they were like, "Oh, let's go to Paris." Everybody chickened out of the Paris trip, and I was like, "I'm gonna go," and I went to Paris by myself. And
Nice.
I think, doing things on your own is like a
Oh,
healthy thing.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I solo travel, like, I go to the movies, like, I do so many things. It's just very weird how taking a board game out and setting up by myself was way more of a challenge than flying to Guatemala by myself, which doesn't make any sense.
So, Stardew Valley kind of got you going with that, but it sounds like you've continued down the dark path, becoming a solo gamer, which I approve of very much.
Yeah.
So, what are some other games that, you've been enjoying, like, on that path?
Yeah, I've been do you know the Best with One series?
Yeah,
Yeah, so there was a game that came out of that, the solo game of the month, Dyson Crusoe. And it's a really great solo game where you're on an island, you're trying to survive, but it has a really cool dice rondelle mechanic that is very there's so many clever touches in that game. But the dice rondelle, I've never seen it used in that way. Nice small little package in one of those VHS cases. And I've played that game probably the most of the solo games, and it's explicitly solo. It's not solo or co-op or multiplayer or whatever.
yeah.
And yeah, so I thought that game is very, very cool. I've been enjoying that one a lot. Um, a lot of the others, I mean, there was a print and play called that was my very first print and play I'd ever played as well, called Lantern. It's very simple, very straightforward, but it just opened my eyes to a one-page solo print and play game. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's very cool too. I could maybe make one of those as well. Got my gears turning about all the different games I could possibly do on a one page.
Yeah. Just a design question that this made me think of. So we talked about kind of contract versus doing what you want to do as a designer. Do you enjoy like design challenge parameters, like 18 cards or like one page? I always
Yeah.
freak out when I think about that. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because yeah, when I design, I'm usually just like, oh, I'm gonna make this and it can be whatever. But I do think I do well with constraints. So like game jams or things like that, where it's like you have to do it within these parameters, because it really, I think it sometimes helps rather than having a complete blank canvas where you can just do whatever you want. Sometimes constraints really can help get things going. So if I've done a few videos where I've, rolled dice and then been like try to come up with a game based on the icons that showed up, or try to make a game based on the title generator, like different titles. And I'm like, oh, what game could I come up with that title? So sometimes having those things help, but I don't necessarily need help with ideas. I actually have too many ideas coming into my brain, so I need to shut them off. But if I ever do feel like I need some inspiration to come up with a new game idea, then I do think having some parameters or some constraints can help.
Yeah. I totally get having too many ideas. It's I don't
Yeah.
die before I make everything I think should exist. But
Yeah.
when you are thinking through your ideas, how do you decide like which one's a winner that you wanna to pursue?
Yeah. So when I have an idea, I'll first make a very quick prototype and just play it on my own. And quite often it'll completely break and it doesn't work, and it's not at all what I thought it would be in my head, which is quite annoying, but happens a lot. But if I see like, oh, okay, that actually worked, and then if so, then I'll bring it to a play test, have other people play it. And when I can start seeing people and myself as well, like have that feeling of people are just playing it and they're not like asking a million questions, they're confused, they're not paying attention, they're whatever. I actually had an experience like this last Thursday at a playtest where the two players were playing my solo game. They were doing it co-op, and they were just playing the game and they were talking about strategy, and they're like, what should we do? Should we do this? Should we do that? And one of them said, yeah, this definitely does have a White Castle feel. And that's one of the like inspirations for it. And
Yeah.
I was just like, this is very exciting. So they're not asking a million questions. They're not super confused. They're super engaged. They're leaning forward. They're talking about what they're going to do on their turn. They're excited about taking their turn, about what they can do. And that's when I get excited and I'm just like, okay, I think there's something here.
Nice. So the game that you decided to document on your channel is a solo strategy game.
Yes.
So I guess at what point did you realize that you wanted to design a solo game? And like what's like sort of the evolution of that process for you?
Yeah. It was last summer. I had just finished reading a book about Empress Matilda called When Christ and His Saints Slept. And as most board gamers do, I just thought I can make a board game about this. And it's really about her struggle to get the crown back from her cousin Stephen, who essentially stole it because he felt like a woman shouldn't be the queen, even though she was the rightful heir. And so I just felt like with a story like that, that's just really the focus is really about Empress Matilda and her struggle. And I just felt like this has to be a solo game. It has to be about her and, how she overcomes things. And so that really inspired me to try to make this all about her, focus on her and make a solo game. Yeah.
Nice. What has been, I guess, your favorite part about working on this game?
Um it's actually probably recently where I did a complete redo of everything. Um
Oh no.
yeah. Which I was like, "Oh, no." But after I did that and I play tested it, and I just felt like things are starting to click, and like I said, had that play test where and actually a play test before as well with another designer, he had a moment where he's like, "Okay, this turn's gonna be good," and he was really excited about the chaining of all the things he was going to do. So different moments like that just really got me really excited about like, okay, I think it's starting to take shape into the type of game that I want this to be. I want it to have that the flavor of the White Castle, Castle of Burgundy, Lost Ruins of Arnak, where you can have these satisfying big moments where you're chaining a bunch of things and it feels really cool to be able to do that. And so having a limited number of turns in the game, but on certain turns you can do a ton of stuff. That's kind of the feel that I wanted to have. And I'm like, okay, I think this is accomplishing that, which is a really exciting moment as a designer.
Definitely. And then, you've mentioned that it's been mostly really helpful to sort of document things on YouTube. Do you still feel vulnerable when you do it, or is it now something that you like to do?
It's definitely scary. because people can be, have very strong opinions about things.
Indeed,
And
especially online.
yeah. um and so when I posted all these changes, I was worried that people would be very upset because I used to have a historical map of England and Normandy, and a lot of people really liked that, and I did like that too, but just the static map, it didn't lend itself very well to replayability. So getting rid of that, I thought people would be upset about that, or I thought people might not like the direction that I'm going in and whatever. But overall, it was very positive, and a lot of people felt like it was a lot of good changes. So that was good. But yeah, it's definitely a vulnerable thing to put up your design like that. But us designers have pretty thick skin, so we can take the criticism and also welcome the criticism, because a lot of the criticism can help inform changes that might make the game better.
Oh no, I'm a baby. No, I'm kidding. No, this is definitely a process that toughens you up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, when I first showed games that I worked on to people, I felt so vulnerable, and I still
Yeah.
do, but it's something. It is something that you adjust to.
How was it putting your game, Queen of Spies up on GameFound and having
Ugh,
people comment and whatever?
it was my first game found, and it was weird. I basically chose not to perceive any of the videos about it, and I let
Yeah,
my design partner David watch them and let me know if there's anything that was interesting or relevant that
right.
had happened in there.
Yeah,
Because once it's out, like I think what it is I'm actually much more interested in feedback while something is in the process of being designed.
yes.
But then once it's out, I guess I just don't. I don't. I mean, because like this is a complete design that went to the factory during the campaign. It's not something that like we did the campaign and we're gonna keep working on it.
Right.
So like the game's done. Like I edited the files. It's gone. And so I don't necessarily want to dwell on it because I feel like
Yes.
David and I said what we said. If interesting criticism comes up about it when it's out, like I want to know if there's something that could substantially be improved for next time or if we ever do another
Sure.
iteration. But
Yeah.
I really prefer not to dwell on like I feel like once your art is out there, it's not
Yeah.
entirely yours anymore. And like the
Right.
period when it was mine has passed.
Right.
But I love playtesting and I like seeing playtest feedback.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's why this is kind of different because, like, yeah, I'm sharing this work in progress, and so
Yeah.
I'm getting feedback that I can do something about. But watching a review of one of my games or something like that, and they say something like, "Well, this is a finished product. There's nothing I can do with that information except feel bad about it," So it's like,
Sorry, I guess.
yeah, yeah, sorry.
but but even if it's praise, I don't necessarily want to hear that either because I don't know. I'm just hard on myself all the time. Like
Sure.
I want to know that people are generally happy with the game. Like it's not that, but I don't know. Time thinking about something I did is time taken away from something I'm doing. So
Yeah, I think that's a healthy perspective. So you don't refresh your BGG comments every
mm,
day.
nope.
That's good.
No, just will not perceive. Not doing.
Yes. I think I need to just I think I need to close that tab.
Well, like how this is too. Like YouTube, I probably check my YouTube stuff like once a day. I
Yeah.
if I have a video that's hot and I know there's gonna be a lot of comments, I'll go in there and like I manually approve all my comments now because the internet is just weird and I
Yeah.
say stuff that sometimes generates rude responses that I don't need other people to deal with. Um
Right.
and so I just, handle it. But I think after enough time refreshing and like looking at your subs and looking at your monetization, like it just gets you just don't want to do it all the time anymore. You get tired of it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe some people don't, but I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little obsessive. I need to that's a I think that's something I could do a bit better, a bit more healthy.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, it's different for you because my YouTube channel doesn't make any serious money whatsoever, and it's
Mm,
just like okay, like it's fun money if it comes in.
yeah.
But it's different with an income stream. Like that's a different matter.
So what inspired you to start your YouTube channel?
Ooh, okay, it's gonna turn is it 10? I think my channel's coming up on a decade. I don't
Wow.
oh god. But I think I started it in 2017 and it is
Okay,
2026. Yeah.
great.
Oh lord.
Wow.
Um, but I started it because I was gaming on my own. I think solo gamers in particular enjoy talking to other people about what they've played because it's like all the
Mm,
social instinct from playing gets
right,
displaced onto the discussion afterwards.
right.
So I think I started it because I posted a picture of Robinson Crusoe because I was just playing it on Instagram, like on my personal Instagram, because I just was like, oh, that's what I'm doing, la da da, like with the picture of my cat, picture of whatever, and so many people like commented on it. I was like, wait a minute, like there's other people out there like doing this because I kind of felt like I was by
Right,
myself, and then I just kind of looked more online and found more people who were like doing this a lot and I got Mage Knight. I found Ricky Royale's videos, of course, classics on YouTube. And I was like, wait, like I could do this. This is kind of fun. Like I started a blog. The Dice Tower wanted somebody to contribute to a variety show that like about solo stuff, and I was like, I'll do that. That's cool. Um, and I learned that I could make videos. I enjoyed it, and then it just kind of turned into like a real channel where I posted some playthroughs and I would say though that things really caught fire for me when I started the podcast.
mm,
Um, but it's because the podcast is my favorite thing. Like
okay,
I love doing the podcast. I started that in 2020. But I just wanted to talk to people about what they were doing and what they thought about it and like why. Um,
mhm,
because I like to know why people do things or think things or like, I'll pepper you with questions. I just pepper anybody. So
great,
the podcast became something that I cared about more than the normal playthroughs, the tutorials and stuff, because I
right,
felt like I was really getting something out of it in terms of
mhm,
connecting with other people who are making games and thinking about games. And so it makes me
mhm.
feel like hooked in to the rest of the gaming world.
Yeah, yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, I when I first discovered your channel, I binged a bunch of your videos and it was like, oh, there's so many different cool conversations and so much to learn. And it's just, I'm really glad that I found your channel. I was talking about my solo game on one of my streams, and someone in the chat was like, you need to check out Beyond Solitaire. I was like, awesome. So right after I found your channel, and I was just like, oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. Looked at all of your the top 100 solo games of last year, and your discussions about this, and this is, it's still fairly new to me, and so just hearing you like pros talk about like the solo gaming experience and all that, it was just like, this is so cool. So yeah, thanks for making this channel. It's a great community that you've built here too.
No, I think your channel is cool too. Like your anti AI video popped, and I was like, I recognize her. And then I watched it. I was like, hell yeah, we agree. But I mean, you've been at design a lot longer than me. I feel like I have so much imposter syndrome about my designs.
Oh,
And
really?
well, I think
Wow.
everybody does. It's a really natural, right? Like I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
is it something that you experience, or have you? It's been long
Yeah.
enough that you get over it. I don't. Does
Oh,
anybody?
no, that's all that'll always be there, that little imp in the corner bugging you, but like it gets, quieter and quieter.
Yeah.
And so that's just very interesting because you have like a title at like at a publisher. You're the solo games expert. So it just reminds us that all of us, can feel that. And so you're not alone in that imposter syndrome. It hits all of us for sure. Like Bush's Beans, I was like, who am I to charge this much and to present these ideas to this huge company? But you just have to fake it till you make it.
Get it. Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, I was a Latin teacher, So, it's, like, people's
Wow.
paths just kind of take strange, like, forks. I'm so glad I, like, took the risk. Like, when I was offered the job, I was like, "Okay, like, do I give up a state pension and
Right.
knowing that I could basically never be fired because 'cause I'll never do anything bad?" Like,
Right. Yeah.
but, you took a far bigger leap than I did. So,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's really inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's a different kind of leap. It's just very, very uncertain when you quit your day job and you don't have another job. Well, I guess I did have another job lined up. It was working for me, but that's is very uncertain. So, But, you know, I just reminded myself that I can always get another job. I have my savings. I'm doing this responsibly. So it's all good to go all in sometimes if you do it right.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. Okay, so you had questions for me. We
Yes,
kind of
I
started
do.
asking each
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
questions,
I'm
but I
trying
want to
to
make sure that
weasel
you
my
get your
way in.
time.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, you started this channel about solo board games and now you're the solo board game designer at Leader Games. How did that how did you get into designing solo games? Like how did that transition go from like loving playing solo games into designing solo games?
It was like a sudden 0 to 60, like, reversal. I
Okay.
swore for years that I would never design a game, I just wanted to be a critic, I just wanted to play games, I just wanted to do YouTube, and I became friends with David Thompson, because I'd interviewed him about Pavlov's House, and we became friends from seeing each other at, like, 4 a.m. on Face Chat, and
Right.
so I was like, "Oh, yeah, like, we're early morning people," and so we talk about games, and then he, like, joked about doing a game together, but one of the topics that he brought up was night witches. And I went and read about them and I was like, these ladies are fucking cool. This is so cool. And so I was like, you know what? Let's just do it and let's see what happens. And I'm so glad that Dave and I have become better friends from designing games with each other instead of
Yes.
having that rupture of the friendship. Like,
Right.
you really
Right.
take a risk with your relationships
Yes.
when you do a creative project together. But
Yes.
it turned out to be one of the best decisions I've ever made. We had so much fun making that game. And then once I started thinking about games to make, it was like I couldn't stop. It was like a whole like dam had just burst. And now I have ideas all the time. I
Right.
read a book and I'm like, "That could be a game," or like,
Yep.
I'll, watch a show, that could be a game. Like, anything could
Mhm.
be a game if you try hard enough, right?
Mhm.
Like, and
Right, yeah,
and so
absolutely.
it was like once the tap was on, I now have several things in the pipeline and things that are gonna be announced this year and, like, all kinds of stuff going on. And so it's really wild to go from just nothing to,
Right.
"Oh, that's what I do."
Yeah.
Um,
It's pretty
yeah,
amazing once you open the floodgates. It's just like, "Oh, wow. All these ideas are coming to me now." Yeah, like, I watched your video about all the projects you're working on right now. I'm just like, "That you got a lot on your plate. That's a lot of games that you're doing that are coming out." Like, that's amazing.
I, don't half-ass anything ever, ever.
Yeah,
If
it
I were
seems like
religious,
it.
I would be a nun. If I were, like
Yeah.
So, how did you get into that? Were you, like, one of those people who like, a lot of people I talked to on the podcast are like, "Oh, even as a kid, I was, like, making games of the game components in my house." Like, are you one of
Right.
those, or, like, did it come to you later?
No, it's been with me for a very long time. Like growing up, I grew up in a family where we played games all the time, but we would always like modify them. Like my last name is Walls, we would call them Walls rules. So we would always
I
Walls
love it.
rules everything, and we still do that now. Like we'll play a game, be like, "Nah, I don't like that. Let's change this. Walls rules it." And so like we're just always changing the rules for any game that we play. And so yeah, I grew up in a household like that, and so the first time I can remember being like, I want to make my own board game, I believe I was 18. I have a memory of this when I was 18. I was like, I want to make a board game. And then I was just like making games for my family every Christmas. It just wanted to, and just ideas would always kind of come to me. And then now the more that I do it, the more ideas come to me. Just those creative muscles, once they get stronger and stronger,
Yeah.
you can just like, and so I really do have to turn that tap off because otherwise it's just too much. But I do have a document where I throw ideas, and so I can get them out of my head and just put them on paper, so that they're not rattling around too much when there's nothing I can really do about them because I don't have time. But yeah, the ideas come to me pretty easily as well.
Yeah. One thing that's really funny is that, I told you I experienced imposter syndrome, but like I've taken on dev projects kind of outside recently, just like looking at solo modes or looking at people's games. Like,
Right.
I even went to like Proto Spiel on Friday. I noticed it. It's like, wait, I have feedback. I looked at this game and I saw a piece of it that I knew I could improve by like just doing something. And it's
Nice.
really funny because you don't realize those changes in yourself,
Right.
but it's true. Like
Yeah.
the more you do it, the better you
Yeah.
get at it. And you just don't necessarily see it. It's like aging or losing weight. Like you look in the mirror every day, you don't know, right? Like
Right. And then one day you're like, "Wow, I'm a
Yeah.
different person. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's very cool. So yeah, one of the main questions I wanted to ask you is, yeah, what are 3 things board game designers should keep in mind when they're designing a solo game?
Okay. I think the first one always, 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 and this goes into you should know that I'm a theme first designer. I don't do things
Yeah.
that are mechanical or puzzly really because it's just not my nature as a designer. So somebody who's like a more mathy gamer might have different answers. Um,
Right.
but for me, the first one is always make the player have to make really unpleasant choices that
Mm,
have something that's going to benefit them, but also something that's really going to hurt. And no choice should be super easy most of the time. Like you get the occasional one, right?
mm.
But like it should always feel like you're having to make like kind of thorny decisions. And then when things go wrong later, they should look back and be like, "Oh, that was my fault because I made the wrong
Yes.
choice." So
Right.
like that
Right.
feeling of like I am the agent, I'm the
Yes.
master of my destiny, and like everything blew
Mhm.
up and it's my fault. Like
Right.
because you need that solo connection to the game, you should always be asking people to make tough choices all the time. So like
Mhm.
if there's too many obvious things to do or simple things to do, I don't like it. Um
Yeah,
I
I
want
like that because a lot of people say, I want there to be interesting decisions in the game, which is cool. But I like that as well. But I like what you're saying is tough or unpleasant choices. I haven't heard that before, but I like that. It's a
yeah,
different
like
approach to it.
uh, and it doesn't have to be like I'm gonna cry about my choices, but like
Yeah, yeah.
games are making yourself uncomfortable for fun.
Right.
Like
Right.
like, I mean, there's cozy games now, but that's not the solo school I came up in. So,
Right. Well, even
um,
cozy games, there's quite a bit discomfort or pleasantness
yeah,
in even the cozy games. Yeah.
yeah. Um, Another one I would think about is upkeep versus player turn time. So,
Uh-huh.
um, David's and my solo games together. So, Queen of Spies and also Night Witches, which will hopefully finally, please hit Kickstarter this year, please.
Nice. Yeah.
um, Neither of those actually has an enemy turn. It's always your turn.
Okay. Yeah.
It's literally your turn, you're just doing something different 100% of the time. I am
Nice.
greedy and I like it to be my turn, and I
Yes, yes,
don't
yes.
want to sit and do too much, like so,
Yeah.
I did the solo mode for Oath this past year. The bot is somewhat complex, you do have to, like, work through its turn, you get a lot faster when you know what you're doing, but
Right.
I, as a solo game designer, typically will choose, if it's mine from scratch, to have
Yeah.
very minimal management of
Yeah.
external forces in the game because I want
Mhm.
you to be playing as much as possible. And when I'm doing a solo
Right.
game, I want to be playing as much as possible. So I
Mhm.
think that getting out of the player's way is really important. And even in a solo
Mhm.
mode, like early conversations, like I look back at like hopes and dreams for the bot for Oath and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And play testers will make you feel like I want all these bots to have different personalities, do all these different things, and that do all this different
Oh.
stuff. But I'm not 100% sure they know what they're asking
Mm.
because having that creates bot overload, which no one likes. And
Mhm.
so I'm kind of the opinion that your bot, instead of showing off how smart it could be and like having it do clever things, needs to do things that are causing enough friction for the player to play, and then they need to get out of the way
Yes.
because the player isn't really playing with your bot. It's your job for the player to play the game.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and so I think that really like focusing on that and remembering that kind of north star for solo game
Mhm.
design is really important. Um, and then also the other thing that's interesting about solo games is as opposed to other games is that a lot of games rely on other players to create story beats or to
Mm.
create like adventure or to create challenge. And
Right.
so when you're designing for solo, you have to think about um, making sure that the theme, the story, that what's happening is emergent from the pieces in the game, and that there has to
Ah.
be enough game there that simulates enough of something for the player to feel connected. Because there
Yeah.
isn't a person to help hold them there. It's just them.
Mhm. That's very cool.
So I don't know if that's helpful at all, but like,
No, that
have
is
you come across those kinds of thoughts in your Matilda game?
yes.
Like,
Like mostly the second one with the upkeep of the bot. That was a big change that I made from the previous version to the current one based off feedback and just yeah. So basically, I had a deck of cards. You would turn it over, and it would tell you where to move Steven's pawn and what would happen, and where to move his son Eustace's pawn and what would happen. Usually, is adding soldiers or
yeah,
removing soldiers and things like that. So there was just a lot of management of those bots and which I didn't like and they also felt a bit random of well, why are they going to that city, nothing's
yeah,
happening over there, and then one playtester, another designer said, it feels like I'm playing a two-player game solo. And I was like, that is a very good point. I don't want it to feel like you said that it's you versus the bot. I want it to be you versus the game.
yeah,
But then Steven is an outside force that is making your progress more difficult.
yeah.
Um, so that was a big light bulb light bulb moment for me. So that one really stands out. So that hearing you say that makes me feel like okay, I think I'm on the right track as far as
Yeah. I
making
mean,
the bot as minimal as possible.
that surprises me not at all. You are a far more experienced game designer than I, but 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 it's always fun to like talk about like what makes a certain kind of game good. It's like why I want to know like what makes a
Right.
party game good, right? Because I
Mm,
don't know. Like I just know I
right.
enjoy them when I play them.
Right. When I even made like a framework of what makes a party game good because I really thought about that a lot. This is many years ago. I really tried to break it down as to what elements make a game a party game and a good
Yeah.
party game. And so I called it the Miss Self system. I tried to make an acronym so I could remember it. And I guess it works. I remembered it 5 years later. But the M is mental stimulation. I really don't like party games where it's just pure silliness and there's really nothing going on that challenges you mentally. Social interaction, uh, easy to learn, laughter, and fast paced.
Yeah.
So those are like the elements that make a good party game, in my opinion. But going back to the solo things, yeah. So yeah, tough choices, low upkeep. So now instead of having cards that you turn over and that dictates what happens to the pawns that you're
Right.
fighting, the pawns are gone, the cards are gone. And so now instead you roll dice in between each season, like each turn, essentially. You'll roll first season, you roll one die, and then that tells you which of your action spaces are blocked. So each action space has a different die icon. So
Yeah.
if you roll a one, any ones with a one, you can't go to that. It's just simulating Steven getting in your way and making things more difficult. So now you still have to do some stuff, but it's way less admin than it was before. So I think that's helped a lot.
Nice.
And then yeah, the story emerging through the pieces. That is such a cool way to look at it because I do feel like the game. I really want it to be immersive. This is definitely a theme first game as well. And so like yeah, the idea came from the theme. I am bringing in some really cool mechanics that I think work well with that theme.
Yeah.
And to make the player really feel like you're Matilda, feel like things are stacked against you from the start. You see all these objectives you have to get through to get to Steven. So I want players to feel that at the start of the game, and then as they go, feel like there might be a chance that I can do this.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, like, we don't have to talk about this now, but at some point, I fully expect a demo of this game. I really wanna play it, so
Yeah. I would love you to hear what you think about it. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm really trying to focus on it and push through and get it to a point where it's done. But like I always feel like maybe this is the last play test and it's done, but it never is. So we will
it's
see. But the next question I have was, yeah, so what are 3 board games that you think designers should play before they try to design a solo game?
Okay, so this is where I'm gonna be extremely annoying because I don't think there's, like, a specific 3. I
Yeah.
think that you should take my advice within the genre of game that you're thinking about designing. So first of all, if
Right.
you wanna make a roll and write, you should play a bunch of roll and writes. If you wanna make a Euro, you should play a
Right.
bunch of Euros. But
Right.
among solo game types that you could play, I think you need to find something in each of these 3 categories so that you understand what you're asking of your players because you've asked it of yourself.
Mm.
Um, so the first one is kind of old school war game type thing. You should play a game that can only be soloed by playing all sides against each other by yourself.
Mm.
So you should
Mm.
try split personality board gaming. Like there's 4 sides in this war game, or there's 2 sides in this 2-player fighting game, something I'm a war gamer by nature, so like that's what I always think of, right? But you should think
Right.
about what that feels like from trying to play against yourself and thinking about what information you have to try to make yourself forget. Are there some things that kind of lend themselves to that? And the reason I think that is because I believe that solo gaming as we know it now is emergent from early war gamers, starting with like the Avalon Hill, like general era, where people were like
Right.
trying to play games by mail, but people's desire to play war games outpaced their ability to do it. And so a lot of people started to play both sides against themselves. And I
I
am
see.
convinced that is where like a lot of the really interesting early solo stuff like Ambush, those are all games that come from the wargaming community and from people who were starting there to do that. They were looking for a way to play a war game alone. And so I think that going
Right.
back to like the roots of what solo gaming is, at least in my opinion, is a healthy thing to
Yeah.
do because it kind of takes you back to like where did we come from and like what did
Right.
it feel like to do all of this. And it also makes you
Mm.
think about like what mental load are you carrying moving from thing to thing and how do I make a game carry
Mm.
that for one person so I don't have to do that myself.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that that's like an experience that you should try to have. Then
Yeah.
I think
So
that you
what would be, one of the older war games that you might suggest people try to seek out if they can find a copy?
Oh, that's it's easy to find a copy. What's a good like two against yourself? If I were at my office, there's like a bunch of Avalon Hill like 2-player um games that are like a Normandy game or like a but like
Okay.
any war game. A lot of people play coin games this way as well, and I actually think that's a cool thing
Right.
to do because counterinsurgency is like a cool system.
Right.
It has a solo flow chart, but a lot of
Yeah.
people still prefer to play by playing all 4 sides, and I actually think
Okay.
that that's a really interesting experience. Like, you should get, like, Cuba Libre, and you should play it playing all 4 sides yourself, and then you should
Mm.
also play it using the flow charts and see how that feels different and what that teaches you about what the flow charts are trying to do and what that solo AI is trying to do compared
Yeah.
to like what it's like to try to just handle it all yourself.
Okay.
Um, because checking out that game logic is like really informative. And
Mhm.
also there's now a solo deck that's a lot sleeker. So you can in fact all in one game have like the full experience of
Mm.
I'm gonna play all 4 sides and see how it feels. I'm
Yeah.
gonna use this complex flow chart and see how that feels. And then I'm gonna use this more modern solo bot that's a deck of cards and see how that feels.
Very
Because I feel
cool.
like as a because you can learn that game, right? It's like, oh, I can like really iterate like what does it feel like to do these different things. It's like a
That is
neat
really cool.
exercise.
That was called Cuba Libre?
Yeah, it's, by Volko
Okay.
Rinke, and it's, like, one of the OG, like, coin games from GMT. It's still in print,
Okay.
absolutely, they just released a solo deck for it, but
Oh, cool.
it's the most accessible game that's become in what's become a huge series,
Nice.
and
Okay, I'll check that out.
it's got a lot of asymmetry in it, it's got a lot of
Mhm.
historical simulation in it, it's just, like, interesting for a number of reasons, like, in gaming history and also, like, as a game,
Yeah.
so,
Very
um
cool.
A game that you like, I think the second thing category you should try. You should try a game that you like as a multiplayer game, but that has a solo mode. So if it's
Mhm.
Wingspan, that's fine. Play Wingspan with your friends
Yeah.
and then go play it with the Automa.
Mhm.
Or like go, find something that has like a well reputed solo mode. Or if you want to play something bad because it makes you angry and therefore inspired to do better, like that's fine. That's an Alan Moore trick, but but you should try a few games that are meant to simulate an opponent
Right.
with their solo mode, and you should play with actual opponents. So you're seeing like, okay, like I know the experience of playing this game,
Right.
and then I'm gonna try this bot, and then I'm gonna see
Right.
how this feels. And then you need to pick a game that is a purpose-built solo game that is for only
Mm,
one person, and it was only ever for one person, and, like, that's who it's
right.
for, and you should
Yeah.
play that, and you should think about, like, "Okay, what makes this different from the solo mode, and then from,
Yes.
like, the big monster kind of game that I was trying to play all 4 sides?" Because I think that, like, going through that cycle and thinking about, like, what changes in your play experience, um, will make you think about what you're doing when you're making something solo, because you'll have thought yourself through what felt good and what didn't.
Right. Yeah, that is really cool. The idea of, yeah, playing a game that's explicitly solo, and this is something I'm going back and forth with on my design is, do I want this game to be explicitly solo or solo and multiplayer? And, a lot of people are like, you'll reach more publishers if there is a multiplayer mode. And also part of me feels like if it is solo exclusive, and I want to see what you think about this, I don't think I would have it be there be any sort of carryover from game to game. I don't think there would be any sort of story or narrative or storybook or anything like that. There wouldn't be any sort of campaign. It would just be, this is the game that you play, but it's a solo game and it's all contained in the one gaming experience. Do you feel like solo games, especially today, solo gamers expect that campaign style where what you do in one game will affect future plays?
I would say that that is not an expectation. But
Okay.
what solo players expect, I think what all gamers expect, even though, okay, this is a thing for me. People talk so much about replayability and how much play am I gonna get out of this game, but, like, how many of your games have you played more than 5 times?
Right.
Uh, like,
Right.
I played, like, 97 games of Obsession on Board Game Arena last year because it's living up to its name for me, but, like,
Right.
that's, like, my favorite comfort game, but, most
Right.
games that I play, I don't play that many times, but
Right.
it's not that you need to have a campaign. Night Witches does
Okay.
have a campaign.
Yeah.
It's very non-invasive, and it's meant to take up a tasteful amount of time so you can actually do it, which
Right.
makes me happy. But because I like my games to take up, like, a respectful amount of time in my life at
Right.
my age.
Yeah.
But, Queen of Spies has, like, different scenarios that you can play. So you can use the same system, but you play from non-interconnected stories. So you pick, like, okay, this is the challenge that I wanna do. So I think what you or, if you have a game that's just got it just really different every single time you play, I think you can just have the
Yeah.
game. What's important is making sure that the game doesn't feel too samey every single time, because if it gets too
Right.
repetitive, people won't play it. But how you
Mhm.
get the feeling of variety or, like, interest every time is not campaign dependent.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, the scenarios, it's because, yeah, I guess I'm just thinking, like, it's just so much work to make the base game. It would be additional whole nother stage to
Yeah.
come up with different scenarios and different things that change up. Then you have to test that. I think it's partly me not wanting to take that on because it's a whole nother headache.
Yeah, but, like, if the base game is interesting or, like, you don't see the same cards every time or, like, the behavior's not the
Right.
same every time and it's always, like, just an interesting tale, I think
Yeah.
that that's fine. It's very,
Okay.
very game dependent. I also think, though, this is I may be wrong about this, but I think that if you are thinking about doing something with one of your games and you feel like it's a chore and it doesn't feel right or natural, then you're
Right.
probably correct.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
it'll probably come through if I didn't enjoy doing it. So,
yeah, like, whenever I look at something and it feels like a chore, I wonder what's wrong, unless it is
right.
actually a chore. Like,
I think it's because I do like to design for me, and, like, I personally don't need that stuff. Like, I've played Castle of Burgundy so many times over and over and over and over and over, and I I don't need any extra story. I don't need any extra, like, scenarios or anything that carries over. I just like to play a contained experience. I don't
yeah.
like having to remember what I did the previous time or keeping a log. And so I'm I think I'm just responding to my own personal preferences as a gamer. Maybe
Yeah,
that's where it's coming from.
but I think that makes sense too, like, you should design what you yourself like. I mean,
Right. Yeah, that's the thing is I do tend to design games where I'm the target market because I want to enjoy playing it, but also it makes playtesting a lot easier when I see what I like and what I don't like because I'm just basically designing the game for myself.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know, isn't all art kind of that way? Like you make it for
Yeah.
you and then you hope other people kind of dig what you're trying to talk about, you know?
Yeah, that's how I design, but I know there are some designers who are more product forward and they like to just make a game for a certain target market that they think could do well and they're
Yeah.
not necessarily that target market. I couldn't do that personally, but
No, that is not my way.
yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
more power to everybody. But
Yeah.
I um I also feel like I don't know, I'm proud of my games because I really said something I meant with them and
Yeah.
I really love them. You know what I mean? It's like a
Right.
I don't I would feel weird if I made a game that was like, "Oh, well, I just made you because," you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I thought you would make me money.
Go forth, child star game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and honestly, it does come through, Liz, because like your games, when I was reading about Queen of Spies, and I was just like, this is so cool. And I can tell that like you heard about a cool thing that happened in history and you made a cool game about that thing. Like it just kind of it was just really the like authenticity or like the excitement about the material came through. So I think it does translate.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because David and I basically only choose our next thing to do if we are both super excited about it. So we
Right.
have like a list of things, and if one of us sends the other one like a reference or a topic, and we just like we get very excited about it,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
that's
yeah.
the game. We're doing that.
Yes. And
Like,
also your game that you mentioned about, birding and, like, traveling around the country and trying to see as many birds as possible in a year, I was just like, "That sounds so cool." And, yeah, when you can tell that you're, like and I'm not even a birder, like, I don't care, but just, like, the way that you described it and just, like, the competition of trying to see the most birds in a year, I was like, "I can get behind that. That sounds very cool," and I never would have thought of that as a game. But you can tell, like, your excitement came through for it, so I'm excited to see what you do with that.
yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with it too. I actually tested it today, so made
Hey.
some got some little tweaks to like send to David and Roger because I played with people at work, and so like I love getting that
Nice.
like external look. So it's like okay, like this is what
Yeah.
people are liking. This is what what do you want that I'm not giving you that you just instinctively wish you had? Like
Right,
okay, that
right,
makes
right.
sense. So yeah, that one's pretty far along, and I'm really excited to see like where
Nice.
it'll go as we kind of get it cleaned up.
Yeah. So will you be pitching that one to publishers or
Yeah, we're gonna pitch it.
okay.
We have like a short list of publishers to pitch it to.
Yeah.
And then we'll just kind of see like who seems right.
Nice.
Basically, one thing that'll also be interesting is we're gonna look for somebody who, okay, like I'm an Elizabeth that contributed to a game about birds. Like you know where this is going.
Yeah.
Like but the big ear is like nothing like Wingspan. Like they could not be more different. Like they have
No.
birds in them, and that's it. And so what we're gonna be looking for is like somebody who'll do like a different art style and like help us pick
Yes,
up a
that'll help a lot.
vibe that doesn't like
Yeah.
look too close, so that people don't mistake what they're getting.
Yeah. I just don't have the words wing or span in the title and you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, nope. Bird list span. I'm just like
Yeah, yeah, Flappy spin. That doesn't no, that's not right.
Yeah, and actually, I will absolutely, at some point ask Elizabeth Hargrave to look at the game because, like, I've talked to her about it, but she has always been so supportive. Like, she is so great. Like, she comes to see me at cons sometimes. I always feel like really honored that she like spent some of her time to come say hi to me. Like, really
Oh, that's so
appreciate it. She's great.
nice.
So, I will be,
Yeah, and she'll be great even just from the bird perspective, like, she might be
yeah,
like, "Actually, this bird is not in this region," or whatever, like, that would be
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, Roger, who is one of my co-designers for the game, I thought it would be fun to make it because he is such a birder that I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast. He told me one time, some he and his wife had some car damage, and when they got the check to pay to fix the damage, they bought a spotting scope instead. So like,
Oh. Priorities.
ratting him out. No, so the people who love birds are like a very interesting group of people that I think I might be one now.
You have all the apps and everything to hear
Yeah,
the
oh
different calls.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, I love games. Okay, like, I was also a teacher. I think that a lot of making people love something is not so much about spotting a gap in the market as truly loving it yourself and, like, trying to
Yeah.
communicate about it. Like, I
Yeah.
think that your Matilda game is gonna be interesting to people because you love the subject and you love
Right.
her,
Right.
and I think that that can transcend any marketing consideration or any like, people love something that somebody else loves
Right.
because you're inviting them into something that's exciting and that's wonderful to you, and I think that that is more powerful than just about anything. Like
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah, that's definitely what I'm going for. So
oh, man, but yes, I definitely wanna play that game. So it's been about an hour. I feel like you and I could just go. So
Right. I know.
I really hope we meet in person at some point. But,
Yeah.
you get softy questions at the end. So one of them is, what is a game you played recently that really excited you or brought you joy?
Um, I think I would probably say Harmonies because when I first played it, I was just like, "Eh." But then now I've played it like over 100 times and I'm just obsessed. I'm like, I have this group that I play with on Board Game Arena just over and over and over and over. It's like the one game that we play. And
I
so
get
now
that
I'm just
completely.
like, yeah, yeah. And it's just such a simple game, but the fact you can play it so many times and not get tired of it is just amazing what they've done with just a few wooden discs and cards. Like it's
Yeah,
pretty amazing. And I'm not an abstract gamer. I actually don't really like abstract games. But that game is it was my second most played game last year. And I think it's yeah, it's very, very well done.
that's fantastic. And then you will definitely have an answer to this question. I talked to so many people who are like, I don't have social media, but I'm not cool like that. But where can you be found online if people want to follow your work?
I feel like all the cool people are getting off social media now, so I don't
It'll just
know.
leave more room
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, but yeah, I'm Pamel's game design on most of the socials. So yeah, YouTube, Twitch, Substack, Instagram are probably the main places that I'm on.
Fantastic, and I'll put it in the show notes as well. I am terminally online and can be found wherever is beyond solitaire. Pam, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been so great. I'm so happy we did this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was very cool. I'm so glad I found your channel. I'm so glad we got to meet.
Absolutely. All right, everybody out there, please like, subscribe, comment, ask questions, and most of all, happy gaming.